Everyone's talking about AI. But here's the real question. What are you building with it? Today, I want to bring you into a deeper conversation. We are looking at the two of the most influential reports on enterprise AI. One from SAP and Oxford Economics, and one from MIT. They don't just share data, they expose the gap between optimism and reality. And inside that gap gives you a strategy. Because if you are a leader navigating transformation, you don't need more hype. You need clarity, you need contradiction, and you need to see the gaps before you fall into them. Let's go there. Let me set the table first. SAP and Oxford surveyed over 2,000 executives across industry. Their lens is process first, ROI driven, and surprisingly optimistic. They want to show you how structured, embedded AI can transform core operations, finance, logistics, procurement, and compliance. MIT, on the other hand, went deep on Gen AI adoption. Their report is cautionary, honest, and packed with hard truths. The tone is less, look at all the wins, and more, why is this still not working? These reports aren't at odds, they're playing different roles. SAP gives you the architecture of success, and MIT gives you the friction of failure. You need both. Let's start with where SAP and MIT actually agree, because that's where the signal is. When two very different lenses land on the same truth, that's when you need to listen. First, AI is everywhere, but maturity is rare. Both reports agree adoption is broad, but sophistication is low. Everyone has tools, very few have outcomes. Fragmentation kills value is the next perspective. MIT calls out clearly most companies are stuck in siloed pilots. Teams run isolated experiments, but learnings don't travel. There's no feedback loop. So the AI doesn't improve, and neither does the business. SAP shows that only 9% of the firms have truly enterprise wide AI strategy. That means over 90% are still letting departments do their own thing with different tools, different standards, and no integration. Takeaway: department led AI might feel fast, but it's almost always shallow. You spend time and money on quick wins that don't scale. And when it's time to connect the dots, you find out they were never meant to be connected in the first place. That's why AI momentum stalls. Not because the tech failed, but because the architecture was never unified. Because the strategy was never shared. Shadow AI is inevitable. Let's slow down here because this is where it gets personal. Shadow AI is not a trend, it's a cultural signal. It's the meeting before the meeting, the workaround you did not authorize but can't ignore. SAP calls it what it is, a security and a compliance risk. 91% of the leaders say their employees are already using AI tools informally. ChatGPT, Claude, notebooks on GitHub, plugins in Figma, copilots running in the background. They're not doing it to be rebellious. They're doing it to get things done. And MIT? MIT sees this not as a rebellion, but as a design flaw in how the organization is structured. They frame shadow AI as a grassroots innovation, a quiet uprising, but not against policy, but against inefficiency. So, what's the truth? They both are right. If someone in finance is posting invoice details into a chat GPT to get a clearer summary, that's not insubordination. That's an unmet need. If someone in supply chain is building AI prompts on their own time because the enterprise tools are outdated, that's not a security problem. That's a signal. Shadow AI is telling you this is where the friction is. You got two choices as a leader. Treat it like a risk to be locked down, or treat it like a prototype you didn't pay for. What would happen if you took shadow AI seriously as a scouting report? What if you map the AI behaviors already happening under the radar and asked, so what are they trying to solve for? That's your starting point. Shadow AI is where your transformation already has begun without you. Listen to it, study it, and earn your people's trust by building something better. Fourth, data is the deal breaker. SAP reports 75% of the firms cite poor data readiness. MIT says lack of feedback loops limit GenAI's value. Translation: if your data can't speak clearly, your AI can't think clearly. If you're leading AI inside your business, don't skip this part. These are foundational truths. Ignore them, and everything else you do becomes theater. Now, the tension. Where SAP and MIT part ways, this is where your strategy needs discernment. One is the ROI outlook. SAP sees real value, 16% ROI today, rising to 31%. MIT sees a value gap. Only 5% of the firms show measurable improvements. Here's what I think. SAP is showing you what's possible when AI is integrated. MI is showing you what's common when it's not. Two, process versus productivity. SAP is all in on process transformation. They care about how AI helps you close a purchase order, reconcile an invoice, resolve a claim. MIT is more focused on the Gen AI wave, assistants, co-pilots, content tools. What's the implication? Productivity tools make people faster. Process tools makes businesses smarter. You need to stop mistaking one for the other. Third, tone. Vision versus vigilance. SAP is building towards a future state. MIT is holding up to the mirror to the current state. As a leader, you need both voices in your head, the builder and the skeptic. I want to give you my perspective, not from the sidelines, but from the middle of real transformation work. Use MIT as your truth serum. Let's expose where your AI efforts are performative. Use it to ask, are we using just AI or are we changing how the business runs? Use SAP as your design blueprint. Look at how they model AI as a part of a system. Ask, are we embedding AI into flows that already create value or just adding AI to your dashboards? Rethink shadow AI. It's not an enemy, it's of early feedback. Look at where people are solving their own problems with ChatGPT and Claude. That's your design brief. Elevate the conversation. This isn't about tools anymore. It's about operating models, workflows, data architecture, and redesigning tools. If your AI conversation is still stuck at who's using what, you are playing the wrong game. Here are 5 questions I've used with executive teams. They bring clarity fast. Where is AI driving throughput in our business, not just efficiency? Which workflows are different because AI is in them? What shadow AI usage tells us where we are falling short? Join a few more water cooler conversations. How are we measuring business value, not just user adoption? Do we have a roadmap for agentic AI or just a few dashboards? If your answers are vague, that's your work. Here's the invitation. Don't pick a side. Don't debate SAP's optimism versus MIT's realism. Hold both. SAP gives you the structure of success. MIT gives you the truth of where things break. Real transformation happens when you build with both in mind. Thanks for listening. Until next time, build with vision, align with purpose, and transform to lead in a changing environment.